Jeff, a slacker who spends his days on his cousin Cherie's couch. Jeff spends his day playing with himself, a routine interrupted only when Cherie returns home from a date with her boyfriend, Donnie. Cherie is Jeff's opposite, high-strung, employed at Hertz Rent-A-Car, and trying to maintain a semblance of adulthood, though she secretly smokes weed to cope with her stress. Their ordinary night takes a bizarre turn when they go outside to smoke. Suddenly, a futuristic portal opens in the middle of their suburban street during a rainstorm. Two figures in sleek, futuristic suits materialize, looking panicked, only to be immediately struck and killed by a passing SUV. In the chaos that follows, the police arrive to clean up the mess, dismissing the event as a jaywalking accident involving one white male and ignoring the strange circumstances. As the scene clears, Cherie spots something glimmering in the bushes, a futuristic-looking glass bong that the time travelers dropped. Back in the safety of the apartment, they examine the device. It has Chinese characters etched into the glass. Cherie uses a translation app on her phone, which reveals the object's true nature. It is a time-traveling bong. The instructions are simple but strict. Smoke once to travel, smoke again to return. Cherie is skeptical, refusing to believe a piece of drug paraphernalia found in a bush can manipulate space-time, but Jeff is insistent on trying it. They take a hit, and the room fills with thick white smoke. The apartment dissolves, and they are hurtled through a wormhole, landing violently in a prehistoric jungle. Their skepticism vanishes instantly when a T-Rex roars and chases them. Terrified, they quickly smoke the bong again and are transported back to their couch, exactly 12 seconds after they left. The realization hits them. Time travel is real, and they have the power to go anywhere. Jeff immediately wants to go again, that they could witness history's greatest moments. Cherie is hesitant, citing her job and boyfriend, but Jeff manipulates her fear of missing out. They smoke again. However, when the smoke clears, they are not in Hollywood. They are standing in the freezing mud of a 17th-century village. The locals, dressed in Puritan attire, immediately spot them. Cherie's bright pink jacket and Jeff's modern slang stick out dangerously. When they try to explain they are from the future, the villagers react with hostility, accusing them of witchcraft. In a panic, Jeff tries to initiate the return trip by smoking the bong, but the townspeople attack. In the struggle, throws the bong to the ground, shattering it into pieces. The device is broken, and they are trapped in the past. The locals drag them away. The town is revealed to be Salem, Massachusetts, in 1691, the height of the witch hysteria. The cousins are separated. Jeff, enjoying the privilege of being a white male even in the 1600s, is free to roam. He gathers the shards of the bong and finds a local glassblower. Jeff begs the man to fix the pipe. He tells Jeff the repair could take half a fortnight. Meanwhile, Cherie is living a nightmare. They accuse her of being a witch. Locked in the stocks next to other accused women, she tries to bond with them using girl power, only to find they are just as superstitious as the men, asking her to use her magic to fix their backs or make men love them. They poke her with sharp objects to see if she bleeds. The situation culminates in a trial inside the church. A local man, Ezekiel, testifies that Cherie is a witch because she caused him to have an erection, or as he calls it. Jeff tries to intervene, but his attempt to use modern logic fails miserably, and he accidentally insults the court. In a last-ditch effort, Cherie reads a written statement to defend herself. However, this backfires spectacularly. They declares that a woman who can read and write is definitive proof of witchcraft. The court erupts in chants of "Burn the witch." Cherie is dragged to a pyre in the town square and tied to a stake. As the executioner lights the fire, Jeff races against time. He returns to the glassblower, who presents the repaired bong. It is a hideous, duct-taped mess of glass shards, barely held together. Jeff is furious, but has no choice. He sprints to the town square, shouting that he wants to be the one to light the fire, tricking the crowd. Jeff climbs the pyre, pulls out the broken bong, and lights it. The crowd watches in confusion as Jeff inhales deeply. The familiar white smoke envelops them. They land in a rocky, desolate landscape. Jeff checks the bong, which is now even more damaged. Before they can get their bearings, two cavemen appear and club them over the heads, dragging their bodies away. They are dragged into a dark cave. They are forced into a primal orgy. While Jeff is traumatized by the aggressive affection of the prehistoric women, Cherie finds a bizarre comfort in this savage. For the first time, she is free from the societal pressures of modern womanhood. No waxing, no shaving, no beauty standards. She embraces the chaos, even as Jeff begs to leave. Their argument is interrupted when Jeff discovers a patch of wild prehistoric marijuana growing outside the cave. Just as they prepare to smoke their way out, a jealous alpha caveman attacks Jeff. In a frantic scramble, they light the broken bong and vanish into the ether, leaving the Stone Age. The time travel to new, sun-drenched nightmare. A cotton field in the American South. The year is unsaid, but instantly understood as the era of slavery. Jeff, compelled by a naive white savior complex, attempts to intervene using modern logic and his privilege, but he is woefully out of his depth. The plantation owner arrives, armed and hostile. As the overseer prepares to whip Cherie, she screams for Jeff to light the bong. In a moment of panic and adrenaline, two enslaved men and a woman grab onto Jeff and Cherie just as they inhale. The laws of time travel bend, and instead of just the two cousins, the entire group is hurled through the vortex. They materialize on a paved street in a clean suburban neighborhood. The three slaves they accidentally brought along believe they have arrived in heaven, or at least a land of total freedom. However, Jeff spots a mailbox and realizes the cruel irony of their location: Gary, Indiana, 1963. While they have escaped the plantation, they have landed in the height of the civil rights era, a time still fraught with danger and segregation. Jeff tries to explain that while they are technically free, the world is still not safe for them. Just then, an officer blocks them and asks if they want to join army, and they will get hot meal and a gun on their name. They naively think it is a wonderful job as they are getting free meal. But they don't know they are joining the army to fight in Vietnam. Alone again, Jeff and Cherie stumble upon a group of children dancing on the street. It is the Jackson 5, led by a young, vibrant Michael Jackson. Witnessing the abusive Joe Jackson berate the children, Jeff is struck by a lightning bolt of moral purpose. He convinces Cherie that they have been sent here for a reason: to save Michael Jackson from his stolen childhood and tragic future. Posing as eccentric television producers from a show called The Bee's Knees, they convince Joe Jackson to let them take Michael for an audition. In reality, they soon kidnap the future king of pop to raise him as a normal, happy child. They hole up in a local motel, attempting to simulate a domestic life. Cherie assumes the role of the mother, cooking and cleaning, while Jeff tries to be the cool father figure. However, the domesticity quickly sours, and they start to feel guilty. Cherie becomes frustrated, and Cherie makes a horrifying discovery. When she checks her future phones, he realizes that by saving Michael from his timeline, his music is disappearing from history. The tracks vanish from his playlist one by one. This triggers a fierce philosophical debate between the cousins. Cherie argues that saving one child's soul from abuse is worth more than any song. Jeff argues that Michael's art brings joy to billions and that altering his path is a crime against humanity. The pressure mounts as they realize they are terrible guardians. Jeff is smoking constantly, and Cherie is miserable. They accept that they cannot play God with history. Defeated, they return Michael to his family home. In a final act of benevolence, Jeff advises the young prodigy to buy the publishing rights to the Beatles catalog, a tip that will secure his financial future. As they flee the confusing scene, Joe Jackson chases them down the street. With seconds to spare, they light the bong again. The smoke engulfs them, transporting them away from the suburbs of Indiana and depositing them onto a beautiful, sun-drenched cliffside overlooking an azure sea. They have landed in ancient Greece. The cousins find themselves at a hedonistic celebration that Jeff describes as the best time in human history. They are immediately swept up in the festivities, which include free wine and toasted wheat. Both characters feel they have earned this paradise after their traumatic experiences in other time periods, such as the Salem witch trials and the segregated South. The atmosphere is one of absolute liberation. Jeff and Cherie separate to enjoy the party, donning togas and indulging in the local culture. In a moment of blurred judgment fueled by the era's permissive atmosphere, they begin complimenting each other on their personal growth during their time travels. They decide they must leave immediately. However, their time-traveling bong is damaged. They smoke from it anyway, hoping to escape this time. The malfunctioning bong transports them to a bleak, desolate future. They land atop a massive mountain of garbage. The environment is hostile, it is scorching hot, and the air smells of burning skin and trash. As they wander through the wasteland, they encounter a group of scavengers riding bicycles who speak a broken, evolved dialect of English they call Ingrish. These scavengers, named Asani, Aquafina, and Jojo, explain the state of the world. The future Earth has been devastated by climate change and corporate greed. The scavengers explain that in 2009, Citizens United allowed corporations to sponsor elections, leading to a world ruled by two remaining megacorporations: Monsanto and Vivid Entertainment. The Environmental Protection Agency was abolished. The Earth grew too hot for plants to grow, and famine ensued. The scavengers reveal they have been working on a time-traveling device to save the world, which turns out to be the very bong Jeff and Cherie brought with them, the scavengers revering it as a technological marvel. However, there is a catch. The bong requires marijuana to function, but plant life is extinct in this timeline. Cherie reveals she has a single nug of weed left in her pocket. The scavengers are awestruck by the biological specimen. Just as they are devising a plan to use the weed to save the planet by synthesizing its seeds, a high-tech drone detects the plant life. Corporate soldiers from Nam Santo raid the shelter, capturing Cherie and the weed, while Jeff manages to hide in the trash. Jeff is left alone with the scavengers, who are too terrified of the ID chips and security systems to help him rescue Cherie. They tell him the only way into the Nam Santo facility undetected is through the biohazard chute. Despite his fear of disease and filth, Jeff commits to saving his cousin. He crawls through a pipe filled with slime, needles, and sludge, a physical manifestation of his penance for his earlier sins. Meanwhile, inside the sterile, futuristic facility, Cherie is strapped to an examination table. A robotic android-like official and a guard interrogate her about the plant life. These are the same official who traveled back in time at start of the movie and died. They reveal that possessing organic matter is a crime punishable by death because nature threatens their synthetic control. Jeff bursts into the room, covered in toxic sludge, attempting a heroic rescue. His attempt is clumsy. He tries to fight the guards but is quickly overpowered and beaten. However, Jeff's distraction allows Cherie to break free. She smashes a glass container over a guard's head and incapacitates the android. In the chaos, she retrieves the weed and the repaired bong. Cherie lights it, and they inhale deeply just as the guards fire energy weapons at them. The smoke clears, and Jeff and Cherie find themselves back on their couch in their apartment in the present day. They are ecstatic to be home, hugging and screaming in relief. Jeff is confused about how the time travel worked since the soldiers took the weed, but Cherie reveals a stroke of genius. She recalled that Britney Spears shaved her head in 2007 to avoid drug testing because hair holds THC traces. Cherie realized her own hair was full of THC from continued smoking weeds, so she smoked a lock of her hair to fuel the bong. Settling back into their normal lives, they realize the journey has changed them. They are no longer the aimless losers who left. Jeff realizes he is lucky to be born in this specific time and resolves to stop making excuses for his life. Cherie realizes that history has been terrible for women and that she owes it to her ancestors to value herself more. The little weed left was maybe used by the agents to travel back in time as the start of the video. Thank you for watching.